okay?
Police have now confirmed that the adoptive parents of Orrin and Orson West have been arrested and charged in their deaths.
Hey, what's going on, my good people? Y'all done messed around and made me pop out. I ain't even ready. But I had to come for Orrin and Orson because there's some new developments in the case. And what we've suspected for a very long time is what they confirmed. That Trezell and Jacqueline West have been accused of murder and the boys are no longer with us. I really don't know how to take this, but we're going to look at the paperwork because the paperwork said a lot. So, come on, ride with me. From the very first moment that this story broke on December the 21st, 2020, a lot of us felt like something was not right. It didn't sound right. It didn't feel right. And we made it known. And when the West came out and gave their first interview, I said in a video that I had done before, I told y'all that it sounded rehearsed. And so my thought was this: if your kids are truly missing, I mean, why would you need to rehearse a story? You only rehearse a lie. With the story that Jacqueline and Trezell gave us, they had the whole world searching for these kids. Everybody. And it was like they had just disappeared into thin air. Something was wrong with that. And I'm going to be honest with you. Early on, I think the police suspected that those kids were no longer alive. And what made me feel like that is when we got the news that they were digging up the backyard. I knew then. I'm like, these boys are no longer with us. We just didn't have all the details, you know? But now we have more details. Because on Tuesday, March 1st, Trezell and Jacqueline West were both charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of willful cruelty to a child, and 1 count of false report emergency. And I was like, second-degree murder? They told us that they have enough direct and circumstantial evidence to convince the grand jury that a murder was committed. And when they gave us information about the grand jury, they told us that it was a true bill. And I was like, true bill? What does that mean? This is what it means. True bill is a term endorsed on an indictment to indicate that a majority of the grand jury members found that the evidence presented to them was adequate to justify a prosecution, which also meant that there would be no preliminary hearing. They're going straight to trial. I thought to myself, my God, what did they do to these kids? And not only that, what evidence does the police have against them? Let's look at the indictment for a moment. We still riding. Now, the paperwork that they gave us for the indictment contained 5 pages. Okay? And the first one, the first page was standard. It just lists the plaintiff and the defendants. The defendants being Jacqueline and Trezell. But then it goes straight to page 3. And that bothered me because I was like, wait a minute. Where's page 2? And I get it. Because I suspect page 2 has all the details. Page 2 has the information that we really want to see. I know I do. Okay. Now, let's look at page 3 of this indictment. Okay. On count 2 of second-degree murder. And one of the things that I need you guys to understand is that everything on page 3 pertains to Orson West, the youngest of the 2 brothers. It says that on or about September 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2020, Trezell and Jacqueline did with malice aforethought murder Orson West, a human being, in violation of Penal Code Section 187, second-degree murder. Now, this stood out to me because they said that Trezell and Jacqueline did this with malice aforethought murder Orson. Now, malice means like the intention to do evil, the intention to do harm. Aforethought is just another word for premeditation. So, really? I mean, I couldn't get past this part, okay? But let's continue. It also says that the crime was committed and it involved great violence, threat of great bodily harm, or other acts disclosing a high degree of cruelty, viciousness, or callousness. And it was like, my God, what what happened? What did they do? This indictment also states that Orson West was particularly vulnerable. And I just took that to mean because he's a child. He was only 3 at the time. I mean, a child can't defend themselves against one adult, let alone 2. I mean, yeah, like this really bothers me because this next part really, really made no sense to me. And it said that they induced others to participate in the commission of the crime or occupied a position of leadership or dominance of other participants in its commission. And what that means is that they allowed somebody else to do harm to him. And then I know it was rumored at first where, oh, it was like, oh, one of the other kids did it. And I'm going to be honest with you. At first, I didn't believe it. And boss, he'll tell you, I didn't believe it. But then after reading this, I was like, yeah, it's one of those kids. Because when we got to know Trezell and Jacqueline, one of the things that stood out to me about them was that they were very private. So I can't see them soliciting outside help to do something to these kids. They kept it in the family. It also states that the manner the crime was carried out indicated planning, sophistication, or professionalism. Meaning, Trezell and Jacqueline was very strategic on how they did this. Okay? And one of the things that I struggle with, because we know that they moved into that house in September. Now we have the police telling us that this happened between September 1st and September the 30th. So do y'all think something happened to Orrin and Orson before they moved into the new house or shortly after they got into the new house? I struggle with that, and I definitely want to hear y'all thoughts on it. Now, when we get to page 4, at the very top it says that Jacqueline and Trezell took advantage of a position of trust or confidence to commit the offense. Now understand this. If one of those kids did participate in this crime, do we fault them? I mean, they're listening to their parents. Even if they knew it was wrong, they were following the instructions of the parent. Do we fault them? Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. And now let's go into count 3. And this pertains to Orrin West. Pay attention. Again, it states that on or about September 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2020, Trezell and Jacqueline did willfully harm or endanger Orrin West, a human being, in violation of Penal Code Section 273A, a felony. Okay, couple things. First and foremost, what this statement told me was that whatever happened to them happened at the same time. Okay, that's first off. And then if you notice, it said that they willfully harmed or endangered Orrin West. That sounds a little different from what they did to Orson. Because remember, with Orson, there was malice, aforethought, murder against Orson, which is why they're being charged with second-degree murder. And this bothers me because when I read this, it makes it sound like Orson was the target. So did Orrin, being the older brother, did he maybe, try to protect his little brother? And, I mean, it makes me feel some kind of way to even think about it. But was he trying to protect his brother? And he ended up losing his life as well. It also states that the crime committed against Orrin involved great violence and threat of great bodily harm. Okay? And then they told us the same with Orson, that Orrin was particularly vulnerable. And again, because he's a child. And whoever they had participate in this crime, not only did they help in the murder of Orson, but they helped in doing bodily harm to Orrin. The nerve of them, man. Can you imagine what these kids is going through? The other kids. Can you imagine? Because at the top of page 5, it says that Trezell and Jacqueline induced a minor to commit or assist in the commission of the crime against Orrin. And I'm like, what in the world went on in their household? This is sad, man. This is sad. I don't even know what to say. This is sad to me. It also states that Trezell and Jacqueline threatened witnesses, unlawfully prevented or dissuaded witnesses from testifying. And we all know they talking about this minor child. Okay? I mean, that's the way I see it. And I got a feeling that that's why those kids were sent to grandma's house. Because Trezell and Jacqueline thought that if those kids were not there during this, this whole show of Orrin and Orson coming up missing, they probably thought that the police wasn't going to question those kids. But they did. And now that I'm thinking about it, what if this trip to grandma's house was planned? And Trezell and them just saw that as an opportunity to put on this show. And it was like, oh, okay, they'll be gone. We ain't got to worry about them questioning the kids. And then we'll just tell them Orrin and Orson are missing. And that's exactly what happened. Now, in count 4 of the indictment, it goes back to Orson. And now it says that Jacqueline and Trezell willfully harmed or endangered him. They committed a crime that involved great violence. So they're talking about Orson again. And that's why I feel like he was the target. But why? What can a 3-year-old do so bad that you have to kill him? That makes no sense to me. On page 6 of the indictment, it further lists all the details about Orson that was listed in count 2. Right? But then at the bottom of page 6, in count 5 of this indictment, it says on or about December the 21st, Trezell and Jacqueline falsely reported an emergency, which is a misdemeanor. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't care nothing about that. To hell with that. What I care about is Orrin and Orson getting justice. And it's coming. They will get it. And everybody involved in it should pay. I have my opinions on the grandmother and things like that. Because even if, they took 4 of the kids to grandma's house, did grandma not ask about the other 2? If y'all ain't seen those videos that we did at the beginning of this case, go on back and watch them. Because we asked a lot of important questions. Now, before I let y'all go, I got a question for y'all. Do y'all think they gonna offer Jacqueline a deal? Because they still don't have the bodies. We still ain't got the kids back. And I mean, that's the least they can do, man. But do y'all think they gonna offer Jacqueline a deal to tell it? Because I'm sure she knows. Y'all let me know in the comments. But at the end of the day, Orrin and Orson will get justice. And we'll be here waiting and watching. I'm going to meet y'all down in the comments. I'll be back.
And that's about it. That's when everything played out.
So make the news, nigga, and watch what happens. If you make it over here on this channel, nigga, we on your ass. Okay?